there's a lot of money left on the table because people aren't serving people that look like us. And so this is a space that is serving that direct need. We do everything with intentionality of the members. So if a member just said that they needed a certification from the city. So we partner with the SBA, SCORE, OBO, and we do a workshop. We open it up to the community. We keep it at a nominal fee or free. And we make sure that there's food and beverages and that there is a lack of barriers to access. So we make sure that things are accessible. As I was telling some people, there are different spaces and seats in this location. So I said this location because we're planning more. But there's about 16 different types of seats for everybody's backs, backsides, knees. And we don't demonize anything in here because women deserve to be on the journey as they're creating and supporting businesses that are changing the world dynamically. So I'm gonna step over here because my other role is I have a media brand and I'm a media personality and I love to have amazing conversations with people. And so that's what we're gonna do today. Before I introduce the subject, I want my friends, because this is so exciting. These ladies are like famous, and I get to sit with them, and I know them, and I've known them for years. I have a fun story about Kim Roxie, so I'm gonna have you get started. Just introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, and a word or two that describes your journey right now.
Right now, oh, I love that one. Hey, everybody. Hey. Y'all good? Good. So am I, I think, anyway. I am so excited to be here with my big sister, Carla. I am Kim Roxie, Kimroxie, and I have the pleasure of being the founder of LAMIK Beauty. I'm also Loretta's mom.
Yes.
That man's wife, and I am from Houston. From the south side of Houston, from Harlem Clark, you know what I mean? Like that kind of Houston. And I don't know. That's all I know right now. And how I am, what do you say? How I'm doing?
Yeah, a couple words to describe the journey you're on right now.
The journey I'm on right now really is just following the assignment. There's an assignment that I am being called to. I grew up with a minister as a father, and you when you think about being like called to the ministry, right? When they say I've been called to the ministry, I feel like that's how it is for me now in entrepreneurship, just being called to it. I've been, 2004 when I opened up my first store at Sharpstown Mall.
Yep.
That was 20 years ago. So I'm tapped out on entrepreneurship, to be honest, but it's the calling. It's the calling. And so right now I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma a lot. There's a global conversation around building economies in Black Wall Street. And I just opened up a store off of the historic Greenwood Avenue in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so for me, it's just about this bigger legacy. I'm just so happy to be here right now because Carla is actually, wearing the colors of my mother. And my mother is such a big part of who I am. And my mother passed away from metastatic breast cancer. And so when you look at LAMIK, 75% of beauty products marketed to women of color are toxic. And my mother loved makeup. And so I'm creating the makeup line that I wish my mom had. And so when Carla got these pink pants on, my mother, transitioned in all pink to represent breast cancer awareness. And we all wore black and white to the service. So, my mother loved Carla. Like when I say she loved Carla, so Carla is a lifer for me. She's just not someone who just like kind of came in my life for a second. She's a lifer. And so I am just so grateful
Don't make me cry.
I'm just so grateful for us to have this platform together and for us to be in the us space because we all know we can be successful when we feel like we're being seen. And so this us space does it for us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I love that. So as we're talking about reciprocity, right? Because that's what that is. Like you sow into the family, you sow into the person, you get to know the person. Let me tell you, If we do tears, it's because it's of joy, and we encourage those in here because I may cry. But when I first moved to Houston, transitioning from my dad passing in 2018, I went to Eventbrite and I was like, networking. You know, I did the whole networking, and the first thing that came up was a Kim Roxie event. I went to a Kim Roxie event in 2019. I think it was like May, something like that. With another leader in Houston, Grace, right? And I met who is now one of my life mentors there at the Kim Roxie event, and one of my forever goal friends, Shahara, at the Kim Roxie event. And it was the first thing I did in Houston to get in to the Houston business ecosystem. So I want to thank you. Yeah. You put that on. Another thing that Kim Roxie didn't talk about is she was the original. Has anybody heard of Div Inc. in here? Div Inc., hand raised in the back. So Div Inc. is like an accelerator that's for people of color and Black people, women, the others. That's what I call us, the others. And that's a good others, kind of like the Misfits, the TV show. Yeah. And Div Inc. was there too. But before Div Inc. was here in Houston, Kim Roxie was the Houstonite that traveled to Austin every week to do this accelerator. So when we're talking about business, the commitment level is there. And when you talk about like social media and all the things that you see out there, it doesn't happen overnight. We know that. And so it's really fun to sit down and talk about these stories. Miss Carla Lane, can you please tell us who you are?
I'm Carla.
Yeah.
I am president and CEO of LaneStaffing. LaneStaffing is the largest Black woman-owned employment solution provider in the Southwest. Right now, we have about 1,100 employees in 13 states. We staff everything from the guys that you see flagging when there's construction that look like they work for the city, they work for LaneStaffing. When you see a Metro Lift van driving down the street, those drivers work for LaneStaffing. When you go to Children's Methodist, the person who's cleaning up something, they probably work for LaneStaffing. I've been in business for myself since 2007, but I started in staffing in 1993 when I was in college. The commitment to helping people that look like us be a part of the employment that happens in this country. When things come to town, a lot of times we don't even know a new business came because nobody tells us. Well, LaneStaffing makes sure that my community knows. Of course, we staff everybody, but we're gonna make sure that we know and that we have an opportunity to. That's one of the things that I love about the business I'm in. I am Darian's mother, Baby Bop, I call her on social media, who is an amazing young woman who is at Tuskegee University. And she is studying vet med. I got her bachelor's from A&M University. We knew she was going to do that. So I'm a HBCU mom, very proud mother. I love this community. I love Houston. I went to University of Houston and fell in love with this city. I'm from Dallas, South Oak Cliff. Preacher's kid too. You know the preacher's kids got to stick together. But the love that I have for business in this city is really born out of this business provided a platform for me to do the things that I've done. So I love Black women. I'm a girl's girl. And I'm just excited to be here with these two amazing women to have this conversation and to talk to you guys.
Oak Cliff.
South Oak Cliff,
baby. Okay. Y'all know that song. Let's not play. Okay, so even with you, Carla Lane, I am going to double tap on what you just said because I just met you and you literally swooped me up into your wings and provided protection, right? You were like, I see you. You're in my crew now. And I'm like, done. Yes. Thank you, Tico, for the introduction. So what is this conversation about? Empower her, right? Like that's a really interesting statement when you think about the word empower, because I always think about women as already empowered and needing a little bit more privilege or audacity to live in their power. So we're gonna have this fireside conversation about what we've already been talking about, which is celebrating the resilience. You heard it in the 90s, in 04, the year after I graduated high school, she was already starting her entrepreneur journey. I started my entrepreneur journey and I didn't know I had started it. I actually worked for the Greater Austin Black Chamber of Commerce for just a little while. And I think on top of like being a 4th generation entrepreneur, because my mom's doing the Ancestry.com, my aunt and uncle on 2 different sides of the family both owned grocery stores. My uncle owns a barbecue place. My dad was an independent insurance salesman. And so I've been blessed with a family that understands entrepreneurship. But I also say we are the first generations that are able to pass the knowledge on because we're living in a different time. Regardless of all of the things going on, we don't have to keep our head down and just work to survive. We can actually sit here and have these conversations that pass the knowledge on. My nephew walks in here as if he owns this space. And that's a proud thing for me because then he knows, because he said, he used to say he wanted to be an astronaut. I'm like, great. Now he's like, well, I want to be an astronaut, but I want to own a YouTube channel. And I'm like, yes. So all this generational wealth is going on. So LAMIK Beauty, you have been working on that since 04. And your business, your brand is committed to being inclusive. So let's talk about people that have helped you along the way, like Carla Lane. And then, what do you say really empowers you and uplifts you within just the space of entrepreneurship?
What empowers me and uplifts me? When people like Tico give me a call, I think when you're on a journey, you know how they say check on your strong friends?
Yeah.
What empowers me is just when people check on me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you feel like you out here with sharks. My dad always told me, okay, you going in business, you're going out there with them sharks. You better know how to go with those sharks. Mm-hmm. And he used to always tell me that. And my thing is, just like when people check on me, like I think that it is not enough to only look at success as this like linear, like just revenue profit driven. It has to come with some purpose, some fulfillment, some impact. Your story that you just gave me motivation to keep showing up. Because when I was doing those events, so in 2019, so I had my store from 2004 to 2018. LAMIK was one sort of way. It was a certain type of business model that I had going on. I remember talking to Carla, telling Carla, I'm about to shut all this SHIT down. And I'm about to create this e-commerce focused makeup line, and it's about to be all brand new, and I'm coming out with it. And because I was looking to set myself up for a certain type of, I started thinking about exit and all these other kind of different things. And at that time, nobody really understood what I was saying because this was 2018, this was pre-COVID. So when I was saying that I was gonna build the makeup line for 2020, and it was all gonna be online, and I was gonna make it easier for women to buy makeup online, it was like, no, like you gotta be able to try makeup on. Like nobody's gonna buy no makeup online. Mm-hmm. And so I'm out here like Noah building the ark, telling y'all it's about to rain. And even my daddy was like, what you saying? And that's what took me out to Austin because people in Houston, and I couldn't get the resources that I needed.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get involved in a tech accelerator, like where I could learn e-commerce and work on AI, everything that we're talking about now. Like that's what I was trying to work on because I had heard about it. I had Googled it, right? I started to hear about it. And so I had to go out to Austin. So I drove out to Div Inc. every week. And so then I would come back to Houston and host a movie premiere, just a movie that's coming out.
I served popcorn at that movie premiere for you. I remember.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah. Were you there?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So I ended up doing maybe 8 of them over this period of 2018, 2019. Mm-hmm. Maybe more than that actually. But I did them, but I might do a panel with it, or beforehand we might have a little meet and greet. And I'm just trying to tell women what I'm learning out here in this tech accelerator. Very like Harriet Tubman, Underground Railroad, like this is what's going on, this is what they talking about, this is what they saying. And so then 2020 comes up, right? The top of 2020, after just hosting these little movie premieres for movie screenings for these production companies, Netflix, I host one for them, but this one, Tyler Perry comes, right? It's the top of 2020. So now I'm hosting a whole movie premiere for Tyler Perry, for him doing his first film on streaming for Netflix.
Was it in Houston?
Yeah, this was his first one. I just want you to take this in for a second. 2020, this was like January, February 2020. I'm hosting Tyler Perry's first film on Netflix, streaming. And remember, I'm getting ready to launch a whole e-commerce. That was like God's way of showing me, oh, baby, you're on the right track.
And this is the build up to your business model.
That's what I'm saying.
And I love that you say this and you're sharing this part of the story, because I think a lot of times what happens is, and it happened to me too, y'all. I was like, I'm going to open up 12,000 square feet and people are going to do my business model and everything's going to work out. And then it was like, oh, wait, okay, let's start online. And then we met in coffee shops. So I love that you're talking about the build up, right? Because that's what resilience is. Because I'm sure a couple times you got a no in there, or somebody that was like, why are you doing that?
Yeah, or even just my own rejection. I rejected myself.
Yeah.
Because I had something that was working and I put down what was working to go after what I saw for the future. So I was internally battling.
Right.
I didn't need to battle with nobody else.
Yeah. And that goes on a lot too, that internal battle. You'll just talk yourself out of it. Like, why did you do that? Nobody came. And it's like, but the one person that did come, you know, even your event, like I was the only person in the room for me. I mean, there was a lot of people there, but for me, like I saw one of the people speak, Kimberly Penn.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm about to get to know her. And I literally followed her around and like nagged her until she became a part of my life, right? So I love that you're talking about the pre to what is now LAMIK Beauty, right? Because LAMIK Beauty is big, but it started with some movie premiere. Well, it was already going.
Yeah,
but this next iteration of it and the iterations. So let's go from the iterations to a navigator, because I feel like you're a navigator for people. As you say, you create resources and you saw something and you want us to know about something and you're from Dallas, but you're in Houston, and like me, you just love Houston and what it's doing. And, you know, I think we're top 5 for women opening businesses and being supported. And so let me throw out some resources before I ask you this question. But if you're in business, there's tons of free accelerators and programs that will help you in business. HCC has one. SURE program at the University of Houston. Rice University, I think, has something. It's called AlSpark and Red Labs, but they also have a lot of like little bespoke things. Houston Area Urban League does their small business pitch competition, and a university, like a small business university as well. So there's all these things you can go through. And sometimes what it's about is not only getting the education, but retouching like your business plan or people knowing about what you're doing, right? Because now I'm an alum of all those, and those directors amplify me.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about navigating, like Kim Roxie said, she called you up and she was like, hey, I need to do this. And clearly you must have been on the side of you better do it and not what are you doing.
Always.
So talk about you being a navigator, the resources and all of those kind of things that bring you from the 90s to 2024 as a business owner.
Yeah, I know that starting out, it was me and a bunch of guys, and that's a really lonely place to be. And at the time, I was early 30s and probably looked early 20s. And so for people you're talking about a multi-million-dollar business, because we pay people, all these employees, they get paid every week. We invoice and wait to get paid. So that means I need a line of credit of millions of dollars, because there's a 30-day turn. And so you're going to a bank and saying, hey, I bought the business that I worked for, that I started working for when I was in college. I bought that business after working there from sophomore year of college, graduating. I grew with the business. And when it came to a point that they wanted to sell or needed to sell, I cut a deal with the 3-letter people that shut businesses down, that I don't say their name because I don't want to start getting 5 letters. I cut a deal and I bought that business from them, changed the name of it, and then we started, I watched them and saw what not to do. And so we started to build, but doing that was very difficult, because you go in as a young person asking these banks for millions of dollars in credit line, and they're like, what? I learned the hard way that maybe instead of having one $5 million credit line, you go to all the little bitty banks and you get you $1 million here, $1 million here, $1 million here.
Ooh, pause. Let's peep game again,
Okay.
right?
She just hacked the system.
You know, when we're talking about this, and I believe Kim said it, and I'm gonna say it too, like that that somebody's like, you can't do that, right? Like my model, her model, you can't do that. Or we're given this very one lane that you could take. Like you must do this, then you do this, then you do this, right? But that's not the playbook that's being handed to everybody, that's being given to everybody, that everybody gets access to. And possibly it's woman, or it's age, or it's sexual, all of them, right?
You black, young, and female.
Yeah.
In the South.
In the South.
Yeah.
So
you got to figure it
say
out.
that again. You did what?
I went and got $1 million from different banks because nobody would give me the 5 I needed. But that's being creative. And also, like you said, I believe that entrepreneurship is a calling, like you said. It is very much people, like everybody can't sing.
Right.
Everybody can't own a business. It is a gift. It is something that is passion work. Because sometimes, I remember one of my employees, Yasmin, she was helping me clean out my closet. Like, we became really good friends. And she moved a purse and about 6 paychecks fell out. And she was like, you don't cash your checks? I'm like, baby, them checks ain't no good, but I just can't run y'all payroll and not run mine too. I just need to see a check with my name on it because I couldn't pay myself. And if you don't love what you do, you're not going to not get paid and keep working.
Talk about it.
You just not. Because I worked a long time but didn't get, I was so glad I was married. That boy's paying everything. Because I didn't have nothing, but I was working and nobody knew it. I'd get up in front of everybody and be like,
Yes.
not a dime.
I love that. That's encouraging to me because that's where I'm at in business. You know what I mean?
It's coming.
like,
Keep running.
It's coming.
Keep
I
running.
see it. Y'all are
Yes.
going to help me do this.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
But what you said that was encouraging is there is a point, and I'm there with my accountant right now, where it's like, okay, well, you need to get into W-2. You got to pay yourself, even if it's $5 a month, because you're switching into the next model. So I love that you say, I'm gonna start cutting myself big checks and then just not cash. I never even thought about that. Oh my God.
But I just needed to see my name on
a
the
woman's
check.
worth.
No, I just needed it.
But
That is so
that's
good.
resilience
That is so
right there,
good.
right? That resilience.
That is so good. That was another.
That is empowerment.
Yes.
That was empowerment.
That's so good.
I love that. Okay, so what's another thing that you did in this resource journey? Because one, you got creative and got the money.
And then I developed friendships with women who weren't necessary because there wasn't a lot of women in Houston at that time that had huge businesses. And by virtue of what I do, because we're billing payroll, the numbers are huge. So I developed relationships with business women that had C-level expertise, right? Because there weren't necessarily entrepreneurs who could tell me these things.
See, corporate level.
Yes.
See, corporate.
Yeah. So these women, CEOs, COOs of organizations, CFOs. And because I needed to know what the rules were to walk into these organizations and get them to trust me enough to handle their employment. Because my target market, we staff all kinds of businesses. I have small clients too, but mostly they're government entities and huge corporations. And so how do you walk in there and talk to the right person and don't get stuck at the receptionist? Those women taught me that. Those are things that I didn't know. They didn't teach it in college. I hadn't seen it because, again, I worked at that small business that I eventually bought. My entire time I was in college, once I graduated, I grew with the business. I became a controller. Then I was a CFO. Then I was a COO. So I've never worked in corporate America. So I didn't know the rules. So I got people to teach me the rules. And these amazing women are still a part of my life. And I still ask them. And they taught me things like, don't go to lunch with a man by yourself. Because you don't want it to be, to look like something else. Don't answer your phone if somebody calls you after 7:30 and it's a male. Don't answer the phone. You don't want your number in the call log. Those were rules for me because as a female business owner, you don't want anybody to say that you got those contracts another way. And it's really sad, but that was my reality. And so to this day, I'll take a team member to lunch when I go, and it's just a guy. And I've went into situations that I was like, this was a setup. You know, you go in there and somebody's not dressed for work and they leaning over the table. And then you walk in with somebody and we got on black suits with red shirts.
And they sit up.
They sit up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know who this person is. Oh, this is my lead recruiter. We're talking about staffing.
Yeah.
Love that.
You know,
And that's, I call that the View moments, right? Do y'all remember on The View when there was this changing of guards, but instead of the guard changing and not speaking, they were like, I got paid this. And they're like, make sure that you get paid at least that. There was like a whole story about it. So I call those the View moments where as women, as people of color, and even when we talk about generationally, because, you know, my mom is a Black female who was an officer in the Air Force in the 90s, right? This is a G, like she was crawling, guarding missiles with my sister in her stomach at one point. So like when we fast forward to this, I hear it like that and it's new, but it's not something we can't be true to. You can share information and we're not going to get in trouble. You can say hi to each other in a room and they're not like, oh, they all together. Luckily, we're either past that or we're not acknowledging that anymore.
probably not acknowledging.
Probably not acknowledging it. I don't think we're fully past it either. But it also reminds me, like one of my members, she's a pastry chef. So good, Shanice Cakes, love it. But one of the things I told her, I said, you know how you get into all these offices, you bake your cookies or little brown, whatever it is, and you take it to the receptionists. And that's how you get into, because, you know, they're the ones that do the ordering. And so if somebody's like, oh, we need a cake for the 50th celebration of, you know, whatever, then they're like, oh, I just had this. And so it's the same thing. I love that you say that because that's another one of those resilience things, the resource. So Kim, LAMIK Beauty has gone on a journey, right? Ups, downs, highs, lows. Have y'all heard of what is it called? Ultra Beauty. Have y'all heard of that? Have you heard of that? So you're in there, right? You're in there. Can we clap that up a little bit? Yeah, that's huge. But that wasn't overnight, just like Honey Pot wasn't in Target magically, just like on and on and on. Just like Carla Lane doesn't have 50 billion, you know, people now. I want to be an employee, by the way, just shooting my shot out there.
Send us your resume.
I'll go to the meetings with you. I'll sit there in the meetings. But talk about some of the setbacks, because when we're talking about resilience and the camaraderie and the wins, there are things that have set you back, those no's that you've had that, you know, we talk about ourselves and our brain setting us back. But what are some of those setbacks that have just really hurt you or have made you question being in business? And then how did you propel forward from that?
I think, first of all, setbacks happen every day.
Yep.
And for my business, because I don't know if y'all know, but like Black women spend 9 times more on beauty products, but we don't even have, 4% of shelf space on stores. Black women spend 80% more on beauty products. McKinsey has done a whole report talking about the Black beauty effect. Nielsen did a report and talked about how Black women, ways that we buy beauty causes a halo effect on other women of every background. So we influence their purchases. So it's not just how much we spend. It's the fact that we then influence the Kardashians, right? We then influence every other culture in how they spend their money. That's powerful. That's like you're not just controlling your wallet, but somebody else's too, influencing their purchasing pattern. And when I talk to large retailers, they seem to get amnesia on that. They're not looking at the data. They're not looking at those truths. They're just looking at, it's almost like we're an afterthought, and all of that. So my work is really like very much activism. I'm an activist in regards to what we do. I take a lot of chances. I take a lot of risk in advocating and standing up for us. I'm surprised I'm still in retail because of a lot of uncomfortable conversations I've had to have. I remember Juneteenth last year. One of our major retail partners, not naming any names, sent out this email that we're going to have this vendor-wide call And everybody was going to be able to get on the call with the leadership team and ask questions and this and that. And it was June 18th, 2023. And so I was like, what we going to do on Juneteenth around here? You know, like, what we going to do June 19th? I was like, what we going to do on that day? Because that's a federal holiday. Mm-hmm. We going to have vendor worldwide calls on July 4th? And so when I seen this June 19th, I was like, we're not going to do that. And so I remember sending an email. As soon as I got it, I sent an email back. And I said, is it normal to have a vendor-wide call on a federal holiday? Question mark. Was this a mistake? Question mark. And y'all don't understand when we do stuff like that, like literally, they could find a way to put us out.
Oh, yeah. They can ice us out.
Yeah, like, and so I was scared, but I hit send because it just don't make no sense, you know? And so I didn't hear nothing. Maybe about 2 hours later, I see an email come across, rescheduled. And they rescheduled the vendor-wide call and pushed it to another date. And, you know, some things in the email went something like, you know, due to oversight and scheduling, you know, kind of thing. And we're going to, you know, move the date. And so I get an email about 30 minutes after that that says, you know, thank you, Kim, for bringing it to our attention. We changed the date to such and such date. But I still could tell it wasn't enough. Mm-hmm. You don't even know what's going on. They had to go Google what I was talking about.
Yep.
In the email. And so I just say that to say that I think that the setbacks are the fact that we are, Beth Ann, I just watched her documentary, and she talked about how activism only works when it stays active.
Yep.
And there are setbacks that people are doing every day, no matter the data points, that they continue to do to sort of push us back. So when I think about setbacks, I think about this stuff. I think about daily working through this sort of process, trying to build a brand, but actually just trying to bring us to the table. And I keep asking them, do they want to make money? Because there's no way in hell you want to make money.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have choices and options for women of deeper skin tones and makeup that buy more, that spend more, it has shown the over-index. You're not even interested in making money. Are you really a capitalist? And so this is the setbacks that I think about because that's what I go through all the time. And it's what I have to work through. You know, being, you know, I just think about other things that we think about that are hard. But to me, that's the setbacks that I think about. I'm just thinking about just trying to get us what we deserve to have. And that's what we're pushing towards.
I love it. Mm-hmm. That's what we're pushing towards. Well, welcome to the table. That's the #UsSpace hashtag.
That's right.
Right. Because, you know, I think of like Shirley Chisholm, soror.
Yes.
But I think about her and, you know, she said she just pulled the seat up to the table. And as generations go, I did generational studies as part of my master's degree. And as generations change, the fight just looks different, right? And so now we're not asking to be at a table. We're just building our own. It's fine. And I'm going to invite you to the table because, as you said, we have buying power. And the purchasing power, probably in this room, a little higher than that percentage because there's some doctors in here and stuff. I know. One of them has mobile healthcare business, right?
Dash Health.
Yes. So we're celebrating all the doctors. Everybody that's just forwarding themselves is a human. And when I think about all that stuff, that's where it's at. Mm-hmm. So let's go to decision making, right? Because you said something that it's scary, right? Because I feel like that I'm on the same side as you, where the us space, maybe the physical space, digital platforms, but I'm out there being like, no, you can't come take photos in the space. Why are you taking photos? Because we have people of color in here or women? No, you can't. This space is sanctuary, right? Or, well, you know, we have this program for women, you know, that's going to help them with financial literacy. Well, why are we saying literacy instead of education? And who built the program? Did you ask us what we needed? Because I don't need to know what a debit card and a credit card are. I need to know how to go to 5 banks and get $5 million. Right? It's 2 different conversations.
You need some real
so
codes.
sometimes people come and they're like, gold mine, great pictures, the us space, da-da-da-da-da, let's do it. And I'm like, no. And several times have turned down buildings and partnerships for us to have physical space. Very hard, like very hard decisions. And sent the email, and I'm like, should I send it? Just, or pre-schedule it so when you're asleep, it sends. Google does that.
Right.
So Carla, talk to us about the decision making, because that's scary, but so is being a business owner, being a mom, you know, being wife or partner or any of those navigating things. How do you make decisions on LaneStaffing, your personal life, the friendships, who's going to be a friend in this and that or both? How are you doing that decision making?
I feel like that's the perfect question for you.
That's funny, huh? Because you know. So I turned 50 last year, or no? Year before last, girl, Lord. You see my face?
10 years apart. This is our 2 years. 42, 52. This is our year.
Really? I love us because I don't know my age. One of my friends had to tell me, they're like, you're 38.
Look, and she reminded me, somebody, remember it's a 10-year gap. Don't do that. Don't do that.
This is our 2 year. This is our second year.
Look, they was at the 50th party. They was like, baby, no, 2 years ago. My bad. But I still look good.
Yes, you do.
Thank you,
Amazing.
But at my 40th birthday party, and again, I started my business in my early 30s. I had a party on a yacht. People in white, black folks in white with cigars and open bars. It was all the things. And I drank too much, way too much. And my sister and brother weren't even on the yacht. And I was sitting down, drunk at my party. And I thought to myself, there's nobody at this party that loves me. Because there is no way that the city councilman is over there dancing and I'm sitting here drunk and I have a city contract. Somebody should have taken the cup from me. Somebody should have said, you're doing too much. So while I was sitting there at that party, I asked God to change my life. I sat drunk, prayed. I was like, give me people that love me, because I have focused so much on growing my business. And in the course of the focus being the business and being a mom, because those were my 2 focuses, I'm not married no more, was being a business owner, being a mom, being a good daughter. I didn't have friends. I had hanger-ons. I had people that were around me because it was public knowledge how big my business was. And the fallout was that you can be on a yacht with an open bar and eat, drink, and all that stuff. And so I had all these people that loved what I brought and not who I am. Yeah. And so Kim wasn't even at the party, and I knew her. I knew Kim. Why is this was my friend? She wasn't even at the party. And so I've started that journey of asking God for joy and peace. And my 50th birthday, I started the road to 50 is what I called it when I turned 45. And for 5 years, I documented on social media the thoughts and the therapy. We can talk about therapy.
We can.
Folks, get you a therapist if you got some mess in your head. When I tell you best money, I have bought some stuff in my life. Best money I've ever spent was going to see a therapist because she can't tell nobody what you told her, first of all, so won't nobody know your junk. And then sometimes when you say things out loud, you hear how stupid they are. Like you have these beliefs that don't make sense, but they make sense when you don't say them out loud. And that's what therapy was for me. It was like eye-opening. And so by my 50th birthday, in contrast to I spent a whole bunch of money on that yacht, my girlfriends bought plane tickets to go to Vegas to just hang out with me. Yeah. They didn't know what we were gonna do. They just knew I said, hey, you wanna go to Vegas to see Usher? They sent money to go see the Usher tickets. They didn't say, Carla, you paying? Because you know LaneStaffing. No, they bought their Usher tickets. They bought their plane tickets. We had a blast. When we got there, we did all the things. But I had friends, like real friends that show up. When I turned 51, I was like, hey, y'all, let's go to the beach. They showed up with cake, and I was like, they didn't know it's going to be a chef there, but nobody asked because they're my friends, and that has helped me so much. Prayer, therapy, and real friends. And so, like Michelle, we were at an event Thursday, and somebody was asking about LaneStaffing, and I was doing the LaneStaffing. That's what I call it. I turned into, and then we da-da-da. And Michelle was like, girl, I ain't know none of that. She's been my friend for more than a decade because she's a safe place.
Yeah.
And when things are hard, we're not talking about how close I am to the max of this line of credit and who won't pay their invoice.
Right.
We're talking about, did you see the movie on, because you need that.
Yeah.
And I think we have to spend some time in this space, in the us space, talking about the power of female relationships. Like, they have saved my life.
Yeah.
You know, Michelle and I became friends when we both thought we were losing our fathers. We bonded over that. That is my, she understood me. And there was power in that. Tico and I have been friends probably, oh my God. But Tico, I didn't know how to fill out the diversity forms for Metro. And Tico was like, girl, give me the form. Now, email it to me. But there's power in there because you got to be compliant. And I could not figure these forms out. And my friend helped me. She will always be my friend. I will, if Tico say, come here, I'm coming. Because she showed up for me. I didn't have anything to give her. LaneStaffing was, people didn't know what LaneStaffing was when she did that. So she wasn't nothing. It was just, let me help this Black woman who clearly cannot follow instructions. But there's power in that those friendships. And so I think one of the things that's important with even your business is that you talked about how you guys collaborate and you have happy hours and you just spend time together, because entrepreneurship is very lonely. When you lead people, you can't let them know that you're scared, because people will start quitting. So you're just holding it all in. And so it's important, like I said, to have those women in business who can teach you things, but it's also important to have those women who are your safe place, who just love you, who appreciate you, who when you need to spill, you're never going to hear it again, ever. And nobody else will tell you those friendships. And in order to be that road to 50 was me finding a way to be the kind of friend and person that I want people to be to me. And so, you know, I always talk about joy and peace. And that's what this era of my life is. It's joy and peace. I'm joyful. I have peace. I'm not, my heart ain't beating fast about nothing. But I worked for it. I did the work for it. And so I would always encourage women, when you're building something, you gotta have your head straight and you gotta pay attention to your life. Because I didn't, and it was chaos. And so I had to work to fix the chaos that me not paying attention created.
Work to fix the chaos. I love that.
Yes.
Get yourself a therapist. I know when I got mine, the first thing I did, she's like, well, LaGina, what would you like to work on? I want to tell you everybody that's hurt my feelings over the last 3 or 4 years. And most of it was in business. Some of it was whatever else. Dad passing in 2018, my sister passing in 2022. And then that community comes in, because the very members that you see on the wall, some of them are founding members or mentors or just people that have been like, take your time. We'll figure this out. You know, so having friends, not only in business, but in life, and some of that crosses over, using your discernment that you naturally have to trust that. You can like somebody genuinely and they don't have to go with you in business, period. Like, that's one of those things, right? So, you know.
We do not hire relatives.
Right.
Lord Jesus.
Well, you know,
I did, and it went horribly wrong.
I plan on hiring my mother full time.
But that's different.
Yeah, that's the mama. That's the mama.
Honey, I hired one of my relatives in Dallas, and he went around telling everybody at my client, the city of Dallas, you know, my cousin owned all of this, da-da-da-da-da-da. And on his first day, he stole something.
Oh, my goodness. And those are one of those slight setbacks in stories.
It wasn't on daddy's side of the family. It was stuff.
She's like, oh, she's about to text. She's in the family's text chain.
Cousin,
like who stole? No, ain't nobody on daddy's side.
Yeah. And, you know, another one of those loopers, right, or the people is, you know, GHBC bringing these people on stage. Because when I got the email, I was like, how'd they get them to? I was like, I swear Kim Roxie was just on the moon, and Carla Lane, you don't see her nowhere because she's over there doing payroll for 5,000 people. But then you understand that powerful organizations like this have powerful people that have powerful connections. So you keep I say it on my LinkedIn all the time, show up, show up, show up. We're going to open up for questions in a second. So be thinking of your questions. This is interactive. But I think it's important to show up like that because then you find the people, an Issa Rae effect is like, she's like, don't always reach up, reach out, right? Because the people that are hustling and working just as hard as you are right in front of your face. But sometimes people are like, oh, well, that person right there is going to be the person that's going to, no, it's the person right here that's going to change it. Like Kim Roxie's out there doing all that stuff. But if I text her, I can get a hold of her, or I can get a hold of our mentor that will bring us back together for something, right? So like having those connections that then go out and sprout make you wiser and stronger and better. Let's open up for questions. Anybody have anything? Because obviously, you know, this is kind of like a sleepover session. We're just telling all the business and stuff. But does anybody have a question? Let's go to the back first, and then we'll come right here. And can you stand up so we can see you? You can introduce yourself. If you have a business, you better shout it out. Do what you do.
I guess I've been. So my name is LaGina Rae. I have a business. I haven't really brought it here yet, but I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm from the Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
My business is D&D Models. So I coach young girls in modeling and editing training and stuff like that. So I got a couple questions, but my first question is from Ms. Kim. You said you started your business like at the top of 2020.
We made a transition.
And lately, or even back like a couple years ago, a few years ago, we've seen like the makeup and skincare industry is very overly saturated right now. Like everybody's coming out with stuff. How do you stay motivated and not discouraged with all of this competition that's going on?
And so for those that didn't hear, and also for our mics, how are you staying motivated in a world of saturated market and sometimes false advertising, or sometimes advertising that says it's for us, but it is not? How are you staying relevant and pushing forward?
So, Deandra, congratulations on your business.
Yes.
I love what you're working on, teaching, you know, modeling, how to walk, how to take care of yourself, etiquette. So we should definitely talk even after this. But actually, my consumer is actually not overstimulated with products at all. I just saw a multi-million-dollar Black-owned beauty brand that was in more than 2,000 stores just closed yesterday. They made the announcement. And they take up space in a lot of retailers. So now they're going to be gone. There's two other Black-owned brands. One is in limbo. Another one, the CEO stepped away, the founder stepped away from it. So to be honest, with the largest beauty specialty retailer in the country right now, we have 0 prestige Black-owned beauty brands on their shelves based on the fact that one brand is in limbo, one just closed, and another one, the founder just stepped away, so don't know what the brand is going to do. So we actually don't have as many options. We're over. What's happened is that we have too many brands just for beige people. They're overstimulated, but not us. We're not oversaturated at all.
So that
we actually don't have enough.
Oh yeah.
We don't have enough, and we don't have enough accessibility points. So I have a bunch of beauty founder friends and stuff like that, but us getting distribution, stuff like that, having enough marketing dollars to market to the consumer. But yeah, we actually are not oversaturated at all. We're actually in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
And I believe that Black women need to seek out Black-owned brands like never before. Like never before. Like you need to be buying it for your friend's birthday, Black-owned beauty brands, Christmas, whatever. Like, you know, like all of the things. We're actually in a state of emergency right now. I don't know if you know, like the background fashion fair, which was one of the biggest Black-owned brands, you know, they sold on an auction for like $1 million.
Wow.
So, yeah, I think that we think it's one way that it's not. It's actually not at all. And we deserve better. We deserve more. And so when it comes to makeup and specifically with LAMIK, we are a prestige, clean makeup brand. So that means prestige, meaning very quality ingredients. You're not going to find our products like just sold in like Walmart or something like that, unless we do a different version of the products for something like that. But the way it is now, we're clean, meaning we're paraben-free, we're talc-free, we're gluten-free, we're vegan. Remember, I'm making the line that my mom should have had. So just thinking about ingredients, we make our products here in Houston. Most makeup is made overseas in unethical conditions. We we brought a group of girls from Clark Atlanta, Bennett College, North Carolina A&T.
Let's go.
To Houston last year. And we did an immersive STEM showing the girls that, and these are all girls that were so excited about makeup, but on the application side of it. And what I'm trying to get girls to rethink is from the making of it. Like, you can be a cosmetic chemist, like thinking about that side of it. And we brought them here on an expense-paid trip with a nonprofit organization to inspire the next generation of cosmetic chemists. Because believe it or not, men make makeup all day, every day. And so that's what we're working on. So yeah, we're not oversaturated at all. So let me dispel that myth.
So 4%, we have 4% of the shelves, and now 0%.
At one of the largest beauty specialty retailers in the country right now.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're not oversaturated. Did that
all.
answer your question? I answered mine. I was like, okay. I want to wipe off my lipstick right now. Yeah, it looks good, but no.
Right, we got lip gloss for you.
Okay.
You can order on Ulta.com right now.
Can I just give you my debit card?
Yeah,
and you just
we can do it.
order weight. Dang, man. And I have, so when you were doing crowdfunding, I ordered and I got the it was like warm tones for your eye. What is the eyelid? What is it?
Eyeshadow.
Thank you. I don't wear a lot of makeup, so. But the eyeshadow, and I put it on, it was like smooth and everything. Yeah, so there's a lot of quality makeup that's coming out of LAMIK Beauty.
Yes.
And when you think about that, y'all keep in mind price points reflect quality in these type of cases. Maybe not in the grocery stores right now because they're just having fun, just charging $30 for some eggs. I'm like, I'm gonna go get a chicken. I'm going back to my roots, like Beyonce. I'm going back. Okay. Next question we have right here. It's you. Yep. You, sir.
Well, I'm a PK as well, so I'm part of that.
Oh my gosh. Raise your hand if you're a PK in the house. We got one in the back.
Represent.
Yes.
We survived.
And who is y'all's therapist? I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Mr. Dale. Go ahead.
So I would be curious, Carla, you touched a little on this, but as far as your circle of mentors for both of you, how are you strategic in determining who falls into your mentor circle?
For me, I watch people's track record professionally as well as their character. I think, talk about being a preacher's kid. There's no perfection here, but there are certain standards that they're just a part of who I am. And I think, look at me with scripture, but you know a tree by the fruit it bears. And so those people who are in that circle that I share vulnerabilities with on that level, they are people who I've watched from afar. I've watched how their children behave, because as you really know something when you watch the kids. I've watched how the reputation, because Black Houston is small. And so that's why I was talking about who you go to lunch with and who comes with you, all of that, because rumors get started. And I'm a person who believes, rumors can be lies, but usually there's a bit of truth in most rumors. So I watch. And so my mentors are people who have long-standing relationships. And at this stage, I don't talk to them every day, but they're people that if I have a problem, I know if it's a legal problem, I'm going to ask this person. If there is financial problem, if I'm emotionally, having they're women I go to, and not all of them own huge businesses.
Right.
Some of them are just really successful people, and I'm not talking about finance. They are just successful people who helped me navigate. One of my biggest people, of course, was my dad. When my dad transitioned, I was lost for a long time. And it's a wonderful thing when people see you struggling and they say, let me come get you. And let's just go sit. And so I've developed that kind of circle. that's just supportive. But for real, I watch people because I know what I want people to say about me when I walk out of the room. That's important to me, not just the business. And so character is a really big deal. And I would say some of my mentors they're not Black. They're not female. I have a really good friend who I could call him and say, hey, Gary, I need $250,000 for 4 days. Send the account, just my person. Old Jewish guy, about 5 feet tall. And I have never, when we met through another guy, I had never even seen him off of the recommendation of one of his old Jewish friends. He was like, oh, because I was changing banks and they was playing with me. Okay, Carla, I trust you. I have my people write something up. And I said, just that resource after having a conversation, and we've traveled together. I know his wife. He's got this dude, his dad was a jeweler. And Gary is probably 72, 73, and his dad was a jeweler. So this is old, buddy. So the little 250, I was, crying about. He was like,
oh,
hey,
here
girl.
you go. He's like, that's my interest.
Yes. But those relationships, and I was connected to him through another person that I met at a conference. It's just, I think, again, God put people in my way that just have been connectors for me. And I think just being connected to, and Gina says this all the time because I try not to be too uber religious because I'm a lot of things, but I love God. And so I'm going to talk about him. God has done some miraculous things for me and through me. And there are some people that I am really connected to that it could be nothing but God that I'm connected to them because I don't even see them all the time. That's my short, long answer.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of opened up the door for me because immediately when you asked that question, even for mentors, I thought about the grace of God. I remember Deanna from the Root of You at the time was open. It was a Black-owned spa here. And she called me out, you're going to do such and such makeup. And I said, okay. So I go out. It's Kathy Hughes. Go out, do her makeup, not thinking nothing of it. My mom taught me to work as a butler. She told me, when you go in and go do somebody's makeup, don't be in there talking. Like my mom is not even like a businesswoman, right? But she
Brilliant.
And so she used to tell me, she even told me to watch the movie. Like she just told me, like, work like a butler. And so I went out, did her makeup. I wasn't trying to pitch her nothing. I wasn't trying to just did her makeup, did it amazing, made sure she felt good. Actually talked about the Greater Houston Black Chamber because she was going to the Black Chamber to speak. And I was telling her how much I love the Black Chamber when she did ask me about it because, she was like, yeah, I'm here. And that was it, right? Her people called me. It's like a couple months later, she was going to the Black Enterprise Women of Power Summit to be honored. And her people called me, and I just so happened to be going there too. And they were like, can you do her makeup again? She really liked it. Okay, yeah, I'll do her makeup again. So I did her makeup again. And she said, when we got done, she said, you didn't tell me you had a makeup line. And I said, oh, yeah, that's what I used on you, da-da-da. None of it. We go down. She said, you want to go to the lunch with me? I said, yeah, I'll go to the lunch with you, And so, because I ain't had no ticket to the luncheon, so I'm like, girl, come on, let's go. So we go down to the luncheon, and she's the honoree and everything. And we go over to the Macy's table. And this was a time when I had just got done with Macy's retail development program and all this kind of stuff. And she didn't even know all that. I go over to the table with her. We walking because she went to go speak to every table. And Kathy Hughes says to them, they said, oh, who's with you? They said, oh, my goodness, this is my mentee, Kim Roxie.
Upgrade you.
And just that's simple. And that's how she became my mentor. No asking, no, can I, okay. And this is the first Black woman to take a company public, that says right there in the moment, this is my mentee. And immediately the table just was kind of like, and immediate respect, whatever came with her, to your point, whatever came with that came with it, right? And from then I was a mentee, and that's how I just roll with the rest of my life, right? And I just say that to say that, like, I don't think I have really been strategic about anything, to be honest with you, Dale. I don't think I've been strategic about anything. One day, this woman walked in my store, come get her lashes done, and then I just kept up a relationship with her. I don't think I was strategic on her. You know what I'm saying? Like, nothing has really been strategic. Tico, I mean, I just think of the grace of God. Like, I was 21, 22, 23 years old, 24 years old, being out here, even what you talked about when you said, like, going to lunch with people, all this kind of stuff. Just because of the way I was raised, certain things I did or did not do.
Yep.
But I didn't even have the sense to know to be strategic about it. So it was the grace of God that covered me and kept me during those times when I was so ignorant and didn't even know. But I knew I couldn't sleep around the city of Houston and do any business. I mean, I knew I couldn't do that.
Everybody gonna know.
Come on now.
We gonna talk about
You know what I'm talking about.
It's the polite chuckle, like,
You know what I'm saying? I knew I couldn't do that much, right? But I went to HBCU. I went to Clark Atlanta University. Look, I had all my wild times, okay? And so, but I just understood that part. But another thing I think we should talk about in mentorship is how we always think about mentors being older and more mature and more wise. But I have mentors that are like 15 years younger than me. I have mentors, like, to be honest, I think my daughter is my mentor in a lot of ways. I think because the world is moving so fast, you cannot only have mentors that are just older than you, telling you about only the past experiences. You need mentors that are younger than you that are telling you what the future holds.
Yep. Yep.
My 8-year-old is literally telling me what the future holds.
Yeah.
And so my girl, who I was her mentor, now she's my mentor. I would literally have a session. I'm like, look, Brooke, we got to talk, but you got to talk about everything that's on your mind, not what you see from me. I'm like, I tell her, like, look at myself. What you think about that? What kind of person? You know, like I'm trying to get that feedback, because you're gonna be irrelevant if you think that just, you know, the wise words of you need to have a balance. To me, that's balance of having that part. So if you don't have mentors that are younger than you, you need to go out. You need to start looking around, ask God, pray about it, whatever. But you need to start getting some people younger than you to mentor you, and you need to listen to them. I think sometimes we always talk from this place of like, oh yeah, you should do this. You need to let them tell you what you should do. Is that a new concept for anyone? Yes. Is anybody being triggered by this? Good. Yes. Good. Yeah. Yet you need to have people, because they're going to tell you the future. Do you think AI, you think as your senior place, you can tell me about AI? No, you cannot. No, you cannot. Because you're not even accepting of it. You sit up there talking about, I don't know what this gonna do.
I don't know if nobody in this room is that old. Come on now.
No.
It don't have to go that old. Millennials are like that. It's a mindset.
My God.
It's a mindset.
Makes life easy. Oh my God.
It's a mindset. I don't know what that's gonna do. You know, I'm just saying, like, but you're a forward.
No, but I get you.
And a leader.
Yeah.
Most we gotta sort of, you know, be there. And it's like, I'm sitting up there looking at some of the things that my daughter is learning, but I also see where she's teaching her teachers on some stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a new world. It's just so many things. And I just think that sometimes we just need to make sure we're getting that information and not trying to teach that information and let them be the teachers to us for information.
Yeah. Lifelong learning, right? And so when you think about it, I always talk about mentors, and then you have sponsors. And as people gain more life experience and have more access to things through the sweat equity, through experiences, through the grit, they become sponsors to you. Like the person that sponsors you by saying, this is my mentee, and the door opens, right? And then sometimes mentors are younger than you, or they're your same age. I had my newest mentee, she told everybody she was my mentee. And I was like, okay. Like, you're putting in the work, I see it, and she's like 2 years younger than me, so it means nothing. And then, my interns, I'd be like, ooh, show me how to do that. Because part of my ego, my good ego, is learning from younger people. And then sitting silently with people that have more life experience, because sometimes older people with life experience just open their mouths and just start talking. And sometimes I'll just start recording so I can listen, because it's like the life beauty and, those iterations that come. Do we have time for like one more short question? One more question. We'll answer it very poignantly. Then we'll hand it back over to GHBC to tell us a little bit more about what they're doing and what they're working on.
I have a question.
Okay.
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
My name is Monica Clifton. I'm an interior designer here in Houston and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm just learning to say I'm an entrepreneur first.
That's
Hey,
right.
Congratulations.
But I've known Kim around the city for a while. Carla, it's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you all here. I just want to say this was amazing. I'm scaling my business. I'm both in the Goldman Sachs program and the business plan competition, and it's hard. And you mentioned not breaking down in front of your team. I've done that.
That's
But
okay.
entrepreneurship is hard, and I'm thankful to be in this space to hear from you ladies too. I think you've answered every question that I had, and I have a ton of other questions, so I would love to stay connected with you. But I just want to thank you for your selflessness and sharing. It's a lot of what I needed to hear personally and selflessly, but it's encouraging to know that everything that I'm advocating for, that I'm fighting and I'm doing for the next generation of Black interior designers
That's right.
is all in good grace.
That's right.
And it's not falling on deaf ears. Like some days I want to just shut it all down. But I'm thankful to know that, these years that I've spent doing this is not just for me, it's for that next generation. I have to continue to fight because the doors are not going to open for us. We have to bring those tables. So thank you.
Love that. All right.
Yes.
So the last question-ish I have for y'all is, let's do a gem dropping. I mean, we've been dropping gems. If y'all's bags aren't full, I don't know what is going to do that. But like that resounding, really resilient piece, the empower her piece. What's that thing that like the whole time we've been talking, it keeps going out of your head, but you're like, I need to say that. I need to say that. What's the thing that you want to leave people with in this moment? Carla, you want to go first?
I would say, like, as you were talking, I think often we see entrepreneurs after the storms. And new storms come, but you see the success. That's when we're in the newspaper. That's what they talk about. There's so much failure that nobody saw. There's so many times when, like you say, you just like, I'm done. But you have to be in a business that you're passionate about so that you will keep going. So the gem would be, storms are gonna come. Things are gonna be bad. Sometimes there's no money. You can have all the receivables in the world, all the sales you've made, and nobody's paying their bill because it's Christmas time and accounting is closed, and I still have payroll. And that's scary. That's scary and it's hard.
Yeah.
But I have to remember when it's Christmas time and I'm pulling from credit lines and I'm, doing what I got to do to make sure that January's coming. Everybody's coming back to work and they're going to pay all their bills.
Yeah.
Like, you have to remember that
Yeah.
all the dark
There's a
tunnels,
tomorrow.
it's coming because you're doing what you've been called to do. And God's not going to call you to failure. That's not how God works. So you just have to keep going. If you know that you're doing what you're supposed to do, January's gonna come. So just make it through December.
Kim, what about you?
That's so good. That's so good.
It is good.
Like you, I'm leaving here with a lot in my toolbox. What I'm thinking about is I don't want to do this to y'all, but I have to do it. So I have to call you to action just a little bit. So I don't know if you realize how many Black folks in particular are moving to Houston. I'm getting text messages every week on friends that I know who are people that I'm just associated with. Or some people, I'm like, how they get my phone number.
It wasn't me. I keep that thing.
But that are, from New York, LA, Atlanta, that are coming to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a Houston that we don't know in about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to know you. Because you are working in a silo, or you're working in a Houston 2.0 and we up on 4.0, if you understand what I'm saying.
Moving to 5.0.
Right. So I'm just saying that I think Houston is always like that open city. We're always like, come over here, come on, you know. But I want us to think about, I don't know if I even have advice. I think I'm just putting us out for thought and for deliberation, is for us to think about, as folks who have put in work here, folks who have literally made sacrifices for this city. And we think about the Black Chamber here. How do we be that anchor, but also be the influence?
Mm-hmm.
How do we collaborate? How do we sort of, allow others to come? They're coming anyway. But where we sort of reach out and become a part of, so then we can continue to move in a way that could be a place that you can succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am very familiar with a lot of other markets. I travel a lot. I'm in other cities a lot. And I'm engaged in a lot of other cities. And I know Houston, the reason why I love Houston is because I always felt safe here. I've always felt safe in Houston, always been supported. And I just want us to really safeguard our culture here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would ask you to show up and to do the things, because we really need to safeguard the culture of business here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because I'm just sort of spewing out a warning of some people that are coming and things that are happening are not of the culture.
I agree.
They're not.
Yeah. It's not the city that we love. Yeah.
And so, that's all I got to say.
Yeah.
And I think everybody can work within whatever, spheres of influence and resources that you have. And it's not anything sort of like to get afraid of or anything like that. And maybe it's just the Baptist in me, but it's just the fact that when you see something happening, they say, see something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to speak up and say something, because I'm in other markets where, scamming because of part of business, and deceivement, and Houston has always had integrity and collaboration. And so I just want us to just be mindful of that. And so you can't sort of go and hide in your hut. You got to get out and be a part of that, so you can sort of establish the culture and let people know that this is the way we do things here.
Mm-hmm.
Not they come and tell us. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's real good.
I love that. And even in that, right, like when I was living in Austin and my sister and brother-in-law were here before my nephew, 8+ years ago, I used to come to Houston. I was like, I'm moving here, right? So when I moved in 2019, I instantly became a Houstonite. Like, it wasn't, I'm coming here to bring brand new idea. I was like, everything here works, and it works well. And it needs the next iterations to come.
Yeah.
And so even something like the us space that we're in right now, it's part of the iteration. It's part of protecting the past, moving forward to the future. So my call to action is to just like buy Black brands, support the us space.
That's right.
Come here, because, I jokingly but seriously, because I call Houston the hater city, where anybody that can make it here can make it anywhere, because we have hard knocks. Like, what if you can make it here a little bit, you can go anywhere in the world and you can make it. Look at Beyonce, look at Lizzo, look at Megan, and those are just 3 women in the music industry. And so I feel like this is a breeding ground where you put in the seed here and it starts growing. But the little growth here equals amplification everywhere. And I think it's something to protect because sometimes people don't have enough grit to get into business. And if you don't have enough grit here, you're just not going to make it. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I think that being able to sit with the past and understand a gatekeeper that isn't often a gatekeeper, but you have to sit down and understand the nuances of what has happened in the city. Freedman's Town, Juneteenth happened right around here, the bayou and flooding. There's so much stuff to understand so that you can ground and move forward and then spread it out. And so my call to action is the same. Like, don't wait until things are all the way too far gone to be like, oh my gosh, we should have stopped that. So, you know, it's by Black, by women, by people of color, by intentional things. It doesn't have to just be from a Black person. It has to be everything intentional, right? Conscious consuming is important. Supporting your chamber, supporting your small business. Like this is nice in here. And I don't say that as a founder, like this is fabulous in here. But if nobody uses it, it closes down, it goes away. And we'll say that, you'll see it on Instagram, oh, that used to be open. I meant to go over there. Yeah. I meant to buy her product. It used to be a thing. I meant to get staffing. Oh, and I knew she was good at it. I waited too long. Don't do that, right? There's just ways to focus and do that quickly. There's a convenience and then there's quality. That's all I have because that's all we have, right? Thank you. Empower her. Chico, you want to take over?